the past like 8 months or so. So the algorithm, right, it uses scalp trading and it trades on the EMA cross. EMA being exponential moving average. So what this does, right, is that it takes on the past 50 candles from the 5-minute charts. So it's like 50 times 5 minutes to 4 hours worth of times, and it creates this line, this EMA line, which will give me an indicator of whether or not the prices are going up or down. So what I do on this one is that if the price goes up, then I will open trades in the long position. I'll be buying lower and planning to sell higher. And then when the price goes lower than the EMA line, then I will be opening up short trades, meaning to sell high and then buy low. So I use the EMA because exponential moving average gives more weight towards the prices, the recent prices. And yet because I spread it over 50 periods, 50 candles, the price will not be so sensitive to recent spikes. So it's sensitive enough, and yet it's not as sensitive at the same time. So this is how it will look like on the chart. If you look at it, it will not be so sensitive. It will not react so badly towards major dumps, like all your sharp spikes and dips and all that. So what the algorithm does is that, as mentioned earlier, whenever the price goes above the red line, as seen by the green candles, it will place purchase orders. And whenever it goes below, it will place sell orders. So one of the questions here is, as a trader itself, if I'm doing live trading, I'm able to see like when do I want to sell. Maybe I want to sell somewhere in the middle, or maybe I can decide on my own. But when it comes to automated trading, it's unsupervised trading. So the algorithm has to know by itself when do I take profits and when do I cut my losses. So when it comes to taking profits, the problem about setting defined profit levels is that if I'm too greedy, I will not be able to get a profit. For example, if I were to set the profit level to $20 per slot that I buy, the trade may not reach there. It may go up to 18, 19, but I don't get it. And the next thing you know, the market goes in a different direction and I'll make a profitable trade become a losing trade instead. On the other hand, if I were to set it to be too low, for example at $2 only, and let's say the trade goes up to $10 worth of profit, then I will not be able to maximize it. So the strategy that I have chosen in this case to take profit would be when the next candle opens up lower than the previous one. So if you see over there, it says there open trade position when the candle goes above the EMA. And if you look at here, the next candle is the first open price. Its open price is bigger than the first one. It opens up higher than the first one, so I will not close it. In the second one, it opened up even higher than the first one, so the trade will still be ongoing. I will not be closing my trade yet. And finally, on the third one, it opened up at the level that is lower than the second price. And therefore, at this point of time, the algorithm sort of detects that the profit wave is over. It might be going to a change, and it will just secure the profit at that level. So the one key thing about taking profit in this way is that I set the criteria in such a way that I have enough profits to cover my fees first. If there isn't enough profits and the things goes the other way, then different things will happen. So yeah, advantage is that I can ride very short bumps and dumps because it just goes all the way up, and I can just ride it all the way. The trade will not be closed. On the other hand, in this kind of scenarios, the trade would have actually closed at sold here, the very small area. When in actual fact, a proper trader with extra indicators would be able to tell that there will be much more uptrend going on, and the typical trader wouldn't be closing it so early on. So this is the disadvantage of having such a strategy of taking profits. On the other hand, stop loss. Now, stop loss happens on two conditions that I set. The first one is when the price reaches a certain threshold. For example, if the trade has already lost $5 per contract of a stock, then I'll be closing it so that as to minimize my trade. The second condition that I set when I close my trade is when the price goes in a reverse direction. So for example, if you look at the green candle over there, it would have gone above the line, and the bot would have detected that it gone above and placed a long trade for me. Long means I intended to buy low and sell high. But in this case, the next candle immediately opened below the line. So what the bot does is that it detects that, hey, maybe there's a change in direction, quickly close the long trade and open the short trade, which allows me to ride the downtrend and maximize my profits in this case. So the good thing about this kind of stop loss is that once it detects, then you go down all the way, and you are able to maximize the profits. But the bad thing is that when it comes to ranging markets, right? Meaning that the market isn't really moving higher or lower. Then there may be times where the line will constantly cross through the charts and the algorithm will be making several consecutive losing trades for me. So yeah, to run through the whole thing again, I use the 50 periods exponential moving average of the prices, and I use the 5-minute chart. So in total, it's 50 periods of 5-minute candles. So by doing this, it's sensitive to current price changes, and yet it's not too sensitive overall, such that the whole algorithm will be thrown off because of a sudden recent spike. So take profit when next candle is lower than the previous one. Stop when I lose a certain amount or when the thing changes in direction, and yeah, and below is the pros and cons of this kind of strategy, which is it's good in volatile markets where there's very long, let's say green or red candles, and it's very bad when the market is ranging or when it's going sideways. So the trade takes around 2 days, as in the trade executes, the algorithm executes around 2 trades a day, and it averages around 2% returns per month. I've been trying it for the past 2 months itself. And the whole process took like 8 months to 1 whole year, because there's a lot of backtesting and tweaking to try out to see whether it works in the first place. So I almost gave up halfway through. So I think that in the future, when you guys do your own like machine learning or AI algorithm, the key here is to never give up, because previous failed scenarios may actually be successful in different market conditions. So likewise in different AI conditions. So the key here is to just never give up and keep the whole record of all your past failure algorithms, because they may work for you in the future. Yeah, thank you.
Right, thank you, Dionysus. So like